Wales versus England in Cardiff. England on the back of 3 successive wins, Wales on a run of record defeats, but we all know that will count for absolutely nothing come 4:45 on Saturday. Hello, amateurs. Welcome back to our Six Nations series, and I've got Huw Jones with me again to chat this one through. Huw, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Tim. Looking forward to the big one on the weekend.
Absolutely. Let's just rewind a week, though. How did you feel about the Welsh performance up there in Scotland? Obviously, a tricky start, but came through well in the end.
Yeah, it was a classic game of two halves, really, wasn't it? We were poor for parts of that first half, and then showed what we can do in that second half. Really, we're going to put a performance together at some point. Hopefully, it'll be Saturday. But yeah, it was. I think that's probably a reflection where we are after almost the euphoria of the Island game in Wales, because we've been so poor before that, and then to perform as well as we did there. I think the Scotland game is probably a better reflection of where we are, I think.
Absolutely. And from England for last week, I think I was really happy with the way they attempted to play. They really sort of went out with a lot of attacking intent. Of course, there was a bit of messiness around that as well, but they scored some really good tries. So I think they're in a pretty decent place coming into this fixture. But we will get straight into the selections, Huw, because there's a lot of interesting things going on here, actually. We'll start with Wales, and in the forwards, the big change up here is Aaron Wainwright coming into the back row instead of Tommy Reffell. What do you make of that selection change?
Wainwright's quality, and he has been one of our best players for a while now. But once I've seen the England team, yeah, I think Reffell and Morgan sort of they counteract the double carry, if you like, and Ben Earl, because you've got effectively 3 7s there, haven't you? So we're going to be challenged, I think, at breakdown. There'll be a lot of struggle over the ball, I think, there. But then Wayno gives us something different on the ball. He's explosive. He's got great feet. Hopefully, give us a little bit more go forward. I think Tommy Reffell is excellent as well, but I can see why they've given him a shot in this game to try and get us a little bit more go forward, because we were lacking that possibly in that first half against Scotland. So I don't see it as a bad thing. It's a change, but he's a quality player, and he'll definitely give us something different in attack. We know.
Yeah, that's a really important point because England announced their side 24 hours before the Welsh. And I wondered whether some of the Welsh selections might have been in response to England. And this one in particular, with England picking a lot of players that are good in the air, I wonder if maybe Sherratt looked at that and thought we don't need as much breakdown threat as England aren't going to be playing as much on that side of the ball. So therefore, some more carrying at the start of the game might be beneficial. I don't know. I'm not sure Matt Sherratt's the type of player who would type of coach, who would pick for another team quite as accurately as that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think this definitely highlights that, because he probably would have gone with 2 7s and slightly different perhaps in our backfield. But yeah, I'm a firm believer as a coach. You focus on you first, and then we see what we can do about the other team. But we control what we can control, and I think Wainwright definitely gives us that bit more go forward than Reffell up front. And I know it's great. It's really refreshing to read how Dav Jenkins has been in the press this week, saying that this really does matter, and I don't want to lose to England at home. And obviously, being someone playing in England and a proud Welshman, it's really good to hear that. It's no like, oh well, it's just another game. And when you brought them with, no, it's not another game. It's definitely not another game. As the Stereophonic said, as long as we beat the English, we don't care. And we went through decades where we didn't beat anyone and didn't beat England. And so when we did start beating England for the first time, when in my childhood, we never used to win. So beating England was kind of, oh well, we beat England, so we're all right this year. So it's great to almost see Dav Jenkins kind of reviving that. And is that possibly an indicator of where we are at the moment as well, where it's not about we're challenging for Grand Slams at the moment, but we'll just take beating England. That'll do for us at the moment. So yeah, it's really good to see that.
Oh, that's good to hear. The other change that some people thought might happen with Dowie Lake maybe coming back to start at hooker, but they've kept D in there with Lake coming off the bench.
Yeah, well, he made a big impact when he came on, didn't he? And I suppose with Derry, it's just a little bit of how much game time has he actually had. So as he got more than 30 minutes in him, you'd hope he'd be a bit fitter again this week. But he hasn't played a great deal, has he? And I think Elliott has had a pretty good campaign, really. I know the big difference in the two is Derry Lake's a massive man, isn't he? So he does get, like we talked about Wainwright with the go forward. He definitely gives us a little bit more go forward there with in attack. But I think that was probably the thinking behind that is can he go for 60 minutes then, if you like. I'm not sure if he's got in the tank at the moment.
Yeah, and alongside being a massive man around the pitch, I think the Welsh scrum improved when he came on last week as well. So we'd expect to see that potentially as well later in the game this coming Saturday. Yeah. Okay, let's look at the backs. And a couple of things in here. I guess there was a lot of chat because Wales played better after Anscombe had been subbed off last week with Jared Evans coming in. So some chatter about potentially swapping those over. And then Roberts comes in on the wing for the injured. Who was it who was playing on the wing? I get confused.
It was
Rogers.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those?
Well, the 10 debate is the 10 debate in Wales, isn't it? It's always going to be there. It's a tale as old as time. And Anscombe's performance was quite an un-Anscombe-like performance, I thought, on Saturday, because he's so good at the nuts and bolts and managing the team. And I think we didn't really get that from him on Saturday. I'm not sure. It came across as he just didn't seem himself. But I like Jared Evans as a player. I think he's really good. I think he probably kind of should have been been given the keys to this a while ago, and we go with him. But obviously, Anscombe came in and he did a really good job for us, didn't he, against Ireland, and you can't sort of discard him after that. But I get why the debate is happening, because I think Jared is absolutely quality, and he probably is the future there for us. But he's got a real steadying influence on the squad, hasn't he, Anscombe, as well. And I know in the preparation week he'll lead that really well, and he does all that kind of off-field stuff really, really well as well. So everyone's clear on what their roles are and how they're going to attack, I suppose. So an interesting one, but it's nice to have Jared there on the bench as well, because if it does break up in the second half, you've seen how he's played in the Premiership for Harlequin. Some of the passes he comes up with, he can absolutely tear teams apart with his passing game. So and he's an attacking threat as well, running. So it'd be good to see him come on.
You can imagine the energy change in the stadium as well when if and when he comes on at 10. You'll just think everybody's going to expect Wales to start flowing and a bit more sort of magic play, I guess, to come into it, which could be really beneficial, just that energy boost that he'll bring from the bench.
Yeah, Jared's almost going back to like your fairy tale Welsh outside half, isn't he? He's a good runner, he's a good stepper, quite a diminutive figure, and he's a bit of a throwback there, but it's great. I love players like that. It's brilliant.
Absolutely.
I suppose, Joe Roberts is the other one then, who did pretty well, didn't he, when he came in on the wing? Considering I don't think he started a professional game on the wing, so to have, I think he's probably rewarded him there as opposed to bringing someone else in. I know you've got the likes of Rio Dyer, who's not on the squad this year, who could have come in there, but he's obviously stuck with what he's got, and with 1 week to go with the campaign, I understand that. If people haven't been around the squad, they're obviously doing things differently to what they've done it in the past. So with Macharat. So, I get why he's left him there.
Absolutely. Onto the bench, and it's all pretty much as expected with Nick Tompkins coming in to fill the 23 jersey. Plenty of experience from Nick there.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's exciting to see Jared come off the bench. We've spoken already about Derry Lake, and Tommy Reffel is always good off the bench as well. If he comes on with 20 to go and is tired people, he's going to expose that, and he'd be a real threat over the ball. And he's probably not given enough credit of what he does with ball in hand as well. Again, he reads games really well, and he's been responsible for some real good offloads in his Wales career and put people into loads of space. So he'll be good there as well.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Tommy Reffel, and I think his game's come on even more this Six
Yeah.
Nations. I think he's playing the best rugby of his career at the moment. Okay, let's look at this England team because there is plenty of interest here. There's a lot of head scratching as well, I think, around the English
Mm.
media when this dropped on Wednesday afternoon. Let's start with the forwards. Cowan Dickey comes back in for Jamie George. This is something I suspected might happen. I just think that gritty gnarliness of Cowan Dickey will be beneficial at the start of this game in Cardiff. But then, as you mentioned already, 3 sevens in the back row,
Mm.
which, yeah, they're going hard at the breakdown. There's no question about it.
Oh, they're going to target us, aren't they? And quality players, all three. The Curry brothers. I, they've always been identical, I suppose. But in terms of their gameplay now, you can't put anything between them. I think they're equally as good as each other. And Ben Earl's an annoyingly good player. He's quality, and he'll just he'll just clap if someone does anything that's remotely good, and he thinks they've won the World Cup every time someone gets a line out not straight or whatever. So he's annoyingly good. Um, but yes, you never look at an England pack, do you, and think, oh, that's not a very good pack, because you're quite blessed as you've got loads of big men as a country, and you can always get yourselves on the front foot. But I think that back row is they're coming after us at the breakdown, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Just a word for Will Stewart as well. It'll be his 50th cap. And this is an interesting one, actually. When we talk about one-on-ones, Will Stewart has obviously come up in the rankings this tournament for sure. There's a lot of people talking about him. And I think Nicky Smith, the Welsh loosehead, is the type of person that will he'll use that as fuel. He'll go after him, I think, hard in the scrum because he's a very good scrummager. And I think he'll want to prove a point on Saturday.
Yeah, he's been around a long time, Nicky Smith, and has kind of been in and out of the Welsh squad, and always been rated as a good scrummager. But he's really good around the field as well. And I think I think the Welsh scrum has got to be is almost rejuvenated with Adam Jones here, this Six Nations, and there's almost more of an emphasis going on here. Like we're bringing somebody in to look after you boys in the scrum. So I think they want to reward that as well. So yeah, that'd be an interesting tussle there. And I'm sure Nicky Smith would be desperate to get into him. So spoil
Yeah.
his party on his 50th cap.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. Okay, into the backs. And England had to make changes here for sure because Ollie Lawrence is out for the season. It sounds like he's having
Yeah,
surgery.
unfortunate that one, isn't it? Because he was having a good year. I
Yeah,
probably would have gone in the summer with the Lions, wouldn't he? I think so. Yeah, unlucky that.
heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, devastating.
Yeah.
Interesting selections here. I mean, I I think you're really lucky to have two tens as good as Smith and Smith, but I don't know that Marcus Smith is a quality fullback at the moment at international level. Obviously in attack he's incredible, but he's made a few mistakes back there, hasn't he? In the autumn and during the Six Nations. So I think Wales might go after him a little bit there. And Freeman into 13 is an interesting one as well, and it does suggest maybe that they're going to go a little bit aerial. But yeah, I didn't see that one coming. Did you? With the
I,
movement there?
well, there were so many different things that England could have done
Yeah,
uh, to rearrange, and it depended very much on the balance, I think, as well between 13 and 15 and 23, and how they wanted to arrange all of that. I definitely wouldn't have seen this specific selection. I don't think
no.
anybody did.
I,
Freeman
I,
to 13, I think, was the most popular first choice though, because he's played a decent amount there for Northampton in big
yeah,
games as well, and he's kind of the one player that could go in there and provide that kind of physical game
yeah,
line hit. He can do that. So I think in that respect, it's the most balanced midfield that
yeah.
England
It's
selected.
going to be a good battle with him and Max Llewellyn, isn't it? Both big ball carriers in that 13 row. So yeah, I suppose it's a good matchup, isn't it? One to look
Yeah,
forward to on Saturday.
and on the
I don't
wings,
know. I'm a big fan of Elliot Daly. I would have liked to. I think he's a really good 13 and always has been. But I think he's someone who's almost a victim of his versatility because he can do a good job on the wing, a good job of fullback. Whereas I think if he possibly stuck to 13, he could be a world class 13. I think.
yeah, certainly in his younger days, that was where he was
Mm.
heading. I personally love him on the wing, though. I think left wing is his best position. So I'm happy to see him on the left wing. I'm happy to see Roebuck on the right wing. and they are both very good in the air as well. So I
Yeah,
really do think England are planning on a fairly sizable aerial attack, or that it might be a bit of a double bluff. They might have picked these players who are also obviously both very good on the ground, and then might not go to the air quite as often as we think.
they are coached by Borthwick, mind, so I think they probably will go to the air a little bit. Um, I was talking to somebody, I can't remember, I think it was 2 games ago, and England went from a midfield line out. They had really good go forward into midfield, really good gain line, good speed of ball, and they built a caterpillar rack and went to the air. And I just thought, oh. And I think it was my daughter that was watching them. He said, "Why have they done that, Dad?" Um, and I just thought, no, I don't know. I don't know, because everything you talk about, having good ball, winning the gain line, getting good speed of ball, and they kicked it away. So that's what frustrates me watching England, is they've got so many good players, and I just think, oh, just let them play.
Yeah, that was against Scotland, and my
Yeah,
reaction was very similar as well. It was Ellis Genge that carried it up.
yeah, really good carry, yeah, and then
Yeah.
just it was out of sketch, yeah. Ah,
Okay, onto the bench for England, and the surprises continue, really, with no second row cover or specific second row cover. Henry Pollock onto the bench, so in line for his debut, having played in the under-20s Six Nations earlier this tournament. And then George Ford in at the number 23 shirt, 98 caps. This will be his 99th. There's so much to talk about there. I don't even know where to begin, really.
you've got two ends of the spectrum there, haven't you? You've got Pollock, who's just about to break through, and Ford, who's hanging on, I suppose. But yeah, it's an interesting one. Borthwick's obviously a really big Ford fan, isn't he? He keeps going back to him. And I don't know why. And again, it suggests another kicking option, doesn't it? And are they going to go aerial maybe? Or maybe they think he might be close and they need him, because he's quite clutch, isn't he, forward at the end of games, and he manages that really well. But again, for me, it's almost a step backwards. You know, Smith and Smith have been pretty good, haven't they, in terms of what they've been allowed to do in the Six Nations. What sort of message does that send to them then? Oh, you've done okay, but we'll get him back in. We don't quite trust you yet. So I don't know. I think that sends out not a great signal to those two. But what do I know?
No, I agree. But also, just in the makeup of the bench in total, like it's a 6-2 bench, and that means we got essentially no cover for centres or wings at all, really. So
No,
people who are going to be covering the centres are likely to be Finn Smith moving over to
yeah.
12, or Ben Earl covering the 12 jersey, which he's done towards the end of games, and he's done well at it. But if there's an injury there early and he has to play, I don't know, 70 minutes at 12, that's probably a whole different ballgame.
It's a different proposition, that, isn't it? Having 10 minutes at the end when you're probably already comfortable in a game. Very, very different proposition. And I mean, it's interesting. Like it happened to Wales last week, didn't it, with Tom Rogers going off. And everyone was a bit like, oh, well, has Roberts played on the wing much before? But he did a pretty good job there. So, you don't know really. So, yeah, we'll see with that one. But yeah, it's an interesting one. I heard Eddie Jones touting the Ben Earl at 12 sort of thing. I think that was on a podcast a few weeks ago. But I don't know, for me, he's a really good back rower, just playing the back row.
Yeah, I mean, what it does do is it gives England the opportunity to have a 6-2
Yeah.
split in this situation. I don't think they're ever going to start picking him at 12. Well, maybe maybe they will. Who knows? But
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it's puzzling for me. And when this team first came out, I did a video about it, and I couldn't quite figure it out. And it's 2 days later now, and I still can't
Still there, yeah.
quite figure out that selection. Yeah, I don't know. I think the only thing I can think of is the clutch thing that you said at the end, where with Ford to see a game out. But even that doesn't really make sense. Like, why would you not trust Finn Smith to do that? He's done that for England.
Yeah, yes. And, you know, we haven't won for 16 games. I know you're coming to Cardiff and it's a little bit different, but is that your mindset, though? It might be tight towards the end of the game when we're going to need Ford. Oh, come on. You had Ben Earl saying, "Oh, our goal is to go down to Cardiff and win well." Well, that's not what that suggests. That bench to me. I think Wales will take a bit of solace from that, thinking they obviously are not overly confident, or they wouldn't have Ford on the bench. So yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting.
And just to reiterate, I said it in my video during the week. Like, I'm a huge George Ford fan. Like, I think he's a brilliant, brilliant player, and still is. Like, he's got a lot left in him, I do believe. But it's just his selection in this team with the makeup of this bench, and having two fly halves on the pitch to start off anyway. For me, that doesn't make
Yeah,
any sense.
no, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I agree. I don't think I would have done that.
No, I don't think anybody would. Okay, let's talk about the game as a whole. As we've said in the opening stanzas now, the records running into this fixture often make no difference whatsoever. And that's one of the reasons why we absolutely love it. But Huw, what are some of the key factors? How do you see this game might be won for Wales if they get over the line?
A good start's important, particularly after last week where we didn't start particularly well, and we allowed Scotland to get out in front of us, and then ultimately we were always chasing the game then. So if we start well, and again we've spoken about this a lot, haven't we, with Wales this year? All the pressure's on England. No one really expects us to win, although it is in Cardiff and it is different, and the roof is going to be closed. The atmosphere should be, electric. It always is for Wales England, because like I said, as Dav Jenkins has said in the press this week, you are brought up. Well, it's a one rugby match where, for that 80 minutes, you genuinely hate England, and that's sort of within most Welsh people. So there's that added fire that we always want to beat them. It was the Phil Bennett quote: "They come here, they steal our coal, our water, they come here and live in our houses for 2 weeks every year, and those are the bastards we're playing against today." It stems back from all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's a different game, and it is always the biggest game in the Six Nations for us, and that is a fact there. So without all the tactical and technical stuff, that is something that does lift us. And it's something England have got to cope with, and they haven't always coped with it particularly well in the Millennium Stadium either. So yeah, if we start well and that crowd does get behind us, then like I'd love us to win, obviously, but it would be a fairy tale way to break our streak, wouldn't it? Because obviously England's still in with a chance for the championship as well. I know they need Scotland to do them a favour there, but that's what they're going to be planning, isn't it? To go there and win, and then put themselves in the best place possible to win the title. So yeah, it could be a cracker, I think.
It could be, but I suspect England are going to be quite pragmatic
Oh yeah,
certainly for the first half. I think they're going to try and kick to compete. I think they're going to try and get turnovers and win scraps of possession. And then if they get territory and possession in good situations, then they'll try and play. But I do suspect it might be quite kick heavy from England to start off with, just to kind of not give Wales any fire, not to give them any scraps that they can sort of build momentum with. I sense that's what will be at the start of the game, certainly.
no, absolutely. Because if you're playing again, as I said, you're playing against a team who've lost the last 16 games. So you have the ball in your own half, and we're confident you're going to make mistakes. That's got to be the mindset. I'm not to go into it really, and it's up to us to counter that then. And like I said, they have picked a side that's going to be good in the air. So we weren't brilliant there last week in the air, and our kicking game wasn't brilliant either. I think we were way off in terms of our kicking game, which is unusual really, because the Welsh kicking game has been really good. I know Neil Jenkins takes great pride in that. So that needs to be better this week in terms of our kicking game, and we've got to diffuse the England kicking game, because they're going to come at us definitely, and then it's about not giving them any of those easy ins, then, isn't it? And if we can do that, then we're in with a shout.
Absolutely, and also I think Wales. I think you have to really attack a lot. I think you have to have a lot of possession. I think you need to run England around, because England have made defensive errors in terms of positioning, in terms of folding around the corner, and you guys have scored some good tries in the wider sections as well, this Six Nations. So I think you have to be really brave and go for it to get the result on Saturday.
Yeah, and as sort of that's how we like to play anyway, isn't it? And when we've been good, we've played that like that. So It's our traditional way of playing, and it's in our DNA, I suppose, and we have to play like that. And if we're close in the last 20, 25 minutes, and then to bring Jared on there then to possibly unlock defences, I think if it's close for 20 minutes to go, I think England might get twitchy. Particularly if we're in front or if we're close to it, like I said, with that crowd behind us. It would be a really good last 20 minutes then, wouldn't
it? It will. Okay, time to make predictions, Huw. How do you see it going? Who's going to win and by how much?
Oh, I've been rubbish so far. I think I've got everyone wrong. That's because I think my heart overrules me, and it probably will again now. I think the fairy tale happens, and we do break this losing streak on Saturday. It'll be close, and it may be. I don't even care. It's like a Ian Evans try for the 10-9 win years and years ago. I'll take anything on Saturday. It's really, really important, I think, for us to get a win because we've had a good performance in the match we're at. We had an indifferent performance last week. And I think the sort of confidence that the squad would gain from finishing the campaign with a win would be huge. So I think it's really, really important for us to get that win Saturday. So Wales by 4.
4, okay. Well, I think for the tournament I want the tournament to be the most exciting that it can be. So I'm going to go for an England win based on that. And
Nothing to do with the fact that you're proud Englishman either.
No, nothing to do with that at all.
No.
But look, I am incredibly nervous. There's no question about it. My Welsh mother will not let it lie if Wales win this on Saturday, no question whatsoever. But I do feel like this England team has grown a little bit in confidence just off the back of winning games, and that does breed confidence. So I think they will win, but I do think it'll be really tight for a long time. Maybe England by 8, though, in the end.
Ooh.
Maybe. Okay, people at home, that is what we think. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments down below. Can Wales break this losing streak? Can England win in Cardiff? Love to join you for a conversation down there. Give this video a thumbs up while you're down there if you don't mind. It helps other people find it. Huw, it just leaves me to say thank you so much for your time again today. Really, really appreciate it.
Cymru am byth.
And people at home, you can subscribe there. You can watch that one next. And don't forget to get out and play.